Start recording. Okay, today is grunt work day. Before I get into grunt work, I am going to make one comment about the newly released Opentoonz 1.3. Basically, what I found, I played with it this morning, and what I found was that most of the features I've been experiencing in Turtletooth's Opentoonz Experimental, which is basically kind of a daily build kind of thing that I've been using for probably about 6 weeks. Most of the features that are interesting in Opentoonz 1.3 were already in the version I've been using for quite a few weeks. Not the clapperboard, but I'm not convinced that that's that valuable of a feature anyway. But anyway, when I dove into, and I'm not running Opentoonz 1.3. I'm still running Opentoonz Experimental. Okay. But what I did was I ran it, and the very first thing I tried was this. I had heard the vector brushes are a little nicer, which I had already experienced when I started using this version several weeks ago. And they are. The vector brushes are definitely smoother and more tactile and that sort of thing. But this is what happened. I went in, I created a vector shape, filled it in, and then I grabbed it with the select key, and what I found was when I did a rotate or a scale like this in Opentoonz 1.3, everything was fine. But you'll notice if I hit Control and then do these sorts of manipulations, in the new version, what would happen is every time I would click one of these nodes, the selection widget would just disappear completely. So for whatever reason, for me, and again, the very first feature that I fiddled with was broken compared to the version I've been using. So that kind of underscores why I'm usually reticent to jump versions unless I really test it and make sure that that it's going to be a win. So anyway, now in regard to the workflow here, this is actually proven to be pretty interesting. What I've done is I'm going to kill this layer that basically gives a tint, sort of just a semi-transparent color. Makes the whole thing look like it's at night. But what I've been finding works pretty well is to do the ink and paint very, very simply, as you see here, and then just have a second layer for shadows and highlights. And probably the key thing that's making that work well is having this brush dialed in, which is actually, it's a My Paint brush. I believe it is this one. But I went into the settings and I changed the radius to 0, which My Paint, with My Paint brushes, the brush sizes seem to be, there's sort of a neutral size at 0, and then you're either bigger, you either go positive numbers or negative, but I don't know if I quite get the way My Paint does its sizes, but basically a radius of 0 seems to be about right. So if I select this brush, it kind of gets real big real fast, whereas if I set this to 0, you have a little more control over the radius. So that's what I did. I just modified that brush, and this has worked well because I can go in and I can not only touch this up pretty quickly with a good brush feel, but then if I want to deal with an area more quickly, I can just kind of rope it in like that, hit the F key, and fill it. So seems to be, so I sort of have my fingers on the F and the B key all the time, so I can just kind of quickly toggle between doing painting and doing fills. So anyway, that's kind of where I've arrived workflow wise. The one thing I do think is interesting about Opentoonz 1.3 though is that I saw some stuff on the Get page about other projects or studios or whatever that have been done using Opentoonz, and that'll be kind of interesting to look at. Alright, so then I've got the highlight. Basically it's the same identical brush, but I just made it white. And of course it's, as you see here in the alpha set at 70 out of 255, so it's slightly transparent. So just a little bit of a touch there, and I think we're good to go. Okay, on to the next. Okay, so now this one's been used before, 337, so I'm going to grab this and paste it right there. 354 looks like it has not been used. I wonder, let me look. 353 is darn close. What the heck, we'll go ahead and do it the hard way. So let's do hair, let's see if that fills cleanly, and it did. There's her nightie and her irises. Whoops. Fill tool, black, eyes, and I happen to be at this point hitting the K key there to grab that and do a fill. I'm just going to erase the mouth for the moment. Okay, and I'm doing the shadows and highlights as I go. Yeah. Okay, I probably should go ahead and finish up with this. And then I'm going to grab this color and then grab the paintbrush and just touch that up. Okay, so now I'm over to here. And B key. Okay, so let me think about this. From the way the light is coming in, whoops, don't want to go outside the lines. I think I'm going to do something like this. Okay, one. Fill. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. So we want to get these slight shadow areas around the hair. And I think what I'm going to do actually is, once again, I'm just going to do a fill operation. I think that should fill okay. Doesn't seem to want to. I'm going to go ahead and just use the paintbrush there. Whoops. That was a little aggressive. Little bit underneath there. Okay, and this is a prime candidate for a fill operation. F key. Back to the B. That's not quite working there, is it? Let's just rethink that for a moment. Okay. Keep it simple, Sherlock. Alright, and here. I'm thinking about the way the light's coming into the room. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's go to the highlight. And again, what I'm learning to do is keep it simple. Don't go crazy with this stuff. Just enough to suggest the texture, and then stop. Okay, what's next? Okay, so now this is interesting. These are the same shots we used before. So 34 goes on 64, so boom, Boom. And 337. I know I've used that one before. There it is. 339. I don't think that one's been used before. Let's just do a quick scan, looking for anywhere where... Yep, there it is. Actually, 2. So, cool beans. Okay, so now we're back to plain old fill operations. Hopefully this will be pretty glitch proof, and as soon as I said that, there was a glitch. Okay. So, right there. So what are you going to do? There's the problem. If you hit the P key and do a little paint operation, boom. And then you find that, okay, got to touch it up a little bit, but that's fine. Okay. Got to fill that. Skin, hair, and for his eyes we'll use the paintbrush P key. Looks pretty good. Now the likelihood is that I'll be able to cut and paste. Yeah, the only thing that changes here is the guy's head position. So with that, I am going to hit the S key, select everything except his head, Control C, go to the next frame and just paste it all in. And then we'll go in and fix this. Erase, let's bring it down to a manageable size. And having done that, go to our lines, hit the B key, and I think we want to actually put a little border in there. Fill that. That worked. P key, a little bit of touch up. I wonder if this is going to fill cleanly. Ah, surprised it did. So we'll just paint those in by hand. Fill tool there. Again, a little touch up. Okay, I would expect his hair to fill cleanly as well. And it did. So yeah, there's one little hiccup right there. We can fix by going like that. B key. K key to sample that color so that I can then do a fill operation there. That was not the right thing to do. I should use the paintbrush. So I have more control. And it looks like we also need to fill this. And I wonder about, yeah, actually, it appears that I simply forgot about this little wingdinger on top of his head. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the paintbrush and go like that. And then I'll hit the S key, Control C, Control V. Let's paint it in. Okay, so with that, we can go in here and kind of do the same thing we did. We're going to take the shadow color, and this is going to be really simple. Basically, I'm going to put him, because remember these guys are backlit. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating a fairly complex closed shape, so I should be able to go boop and fill him in perfectly. So same thing here. got to have a little bit of a rim light thing going on. Okay, so now obviously this creates a big problem. That's not going to work. I kind of wondered if that's what would happen, but sometimes you got to do a little more work. That's the price you pay for the privilege of creating a cartoon. That didn't fill properly, looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab all this, paste it in. Ooh, that's not right. Control Z. Alright, so I need to hit the B key so that it has a drawing there. I guess I could have just hit the D key and duplicated it, but that's okay. So now we're going to hit the S key and just do a little adjustment here with the venerable S key. Okay, you know what? This is stupid. I'm going to hit the delete key and just paint this guy over again. It'll be faster, more accurate. Well, this is what you find a lot of times. You know, being able to reuse the drawing is what I call leverage. And what you find is a lot of times your attempts at leverage kind of backfire. It's great when you can do it, but a lot of times it's frankly quicker, faster, better. I meant to say easier, faster, better to just redo it. Now I think right here we ought to come back in, clean that up a bit. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. That was a boo-boo. So yeah, as of today, no strongly compelling reasons to jump over to Opentoonz 1.3, because it looks to me like it's essentially what I'm already using. Okay, now this is where leverage makes sense. I'm going to actually Control C, go to this one. And it actually did double the density. I'll bet you that'll disappear once it's... Yeah, I thought so. Okay, cool. Back to here. Alright, so 339, as I recall, has been used. 338A. Right there. Control C. Control V. 354. Now, yeah, I was wondering about her, the tie in her hair. Here, yeah, here we have it, here we don't. So I really probably should go in and address that immediately. Okay, hitting the P key. Maybe just a hint of it there. Okay, so now because these guys are basically locked in a conversation, I can reuse a lot of stuff. Basically what I need to remember is if if the numbers here are smaller, then chances are they've been used before. Now here we've got 357, up here we got 357A, which leads me to think, I wonder if there is a quick way to, that would be a useful feature, is a quick way to find the last instance of a given picture being used so that it's quicker to cut and paste. I mean, this one is not colored, so I'm going to assume that that's a job I need to do. So now I'm going to ignore that problem that just occurred. I'm just going to ignore it. And come back to it. Okay, so hair. All right. And the reason is, I don't know where the leak occurred. I'm going to see if I can solve it this way. This may backfire, but I'm just thinking maybe could be here, could be down here in these corners. Are they really corners? Is corners the right word? I don't know. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that did the trick. Okay, so then I can come back to the eyes. Fill that. Use the paintbrush here so that I can then fill those. And now let's do a little bit of touch-up. So now that bugs me. I'm really trying to raise my standards here just a little bit on some of these sort of winky little things that happen. It's like, let's not settle. Okay, so now having done that, I need to go Control Z, brush tool. Cool. All right, well, let's see how well we do with getting it filled in. Boom, boom. Now I don't mind painting by hand occasionally. I really don't mind. It's precise. Okay, until it's not. Oh, thought I was hitting the P key and I wasn't. So that's just like not acceptable. Okay. Close that. Close that. Because remember, this is actually supposed to be her ear. Alright. Sample that. Fill that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now let's go over here, B key, and then make sure we jump to the shadow layer. And before I go any further, let's get that in there. Okay. So now here we go again. Okay. Fill, fill. like that. Fortunately, I can just hit the erase tool. Okay, that's better, I think. It's kind of like you want it to either be this tone or that tone. You don't want to go too crazy with the fancy schmancy details, because it quits looking like an anime, basically. A little strong on the nose mark there. Fill that. Okay. We need just a little bit here. Okay, well, what about highlights there, Dave? Bam, bam. Quickly. Yep, that's good. And by the way, I forgot. Erase, K key, fill. Okay, so now this is a little bit a little bit winky. I'm actually doing their slippers a little differently here, because this guy is running, or at least walking briskly, and it's going by really, really fast, so I don't think I need to kill myself sweating the details on the shoe construction. Okay, so now we're gonna go black, black, black. This is, as I've mentioned before, the dumbest looking walk cycle or run cycle in the history of the world. But as I say, it goes by really fast. I mean, it's going to be on 2s. So it's going to look like, you know, I could even put it on 1s so that it, something like that, something of that nature is going to probably look okay. Okay, so we do need to shadow it, although interestingly, kind of no we don't actually. Probably the tinting of the whole scene will serve to give that the shading it needs. So I'm actually going to skip a shadow and highlight layer here, and now I'm going to go B key to put it in there, and then of course we need to delete these erroneous frames in between. So now we're back to her. Now it seems to me I should be able to leverage this. So I'm going to hit the D key and drag this. I guess we'll move this down and put that there. Yeah, that definitely worked. Okay, so with that we can go ahead and fill. How about the hair? Nope, it leaked again. Well, I figured it would. So that's okay. So now let's kind of do it the opposite to the way we did it before. Opposite. I don't know if that'll do the trick, but let's see. Fill. Nope, it's still leaking. Doggone it. Still leaky. I'm actually a little fuzzy on how Opentoonz determines whether an area is closed for filling if the borders are dictated not by the brush tool but by the paintbrush tool. Because right there, it seems like I've blocked all possible exits. Oh, and it worked. So I don't know where the leak was. I'm not going to sweat it on this one. I do want to say, though, however, that, okay, first of all, let's delete that and stretch that down one frame. And then I'm going to modify this drawing slightly because I feel like there should be a shadow area behind here. Whoops. Kind of bled out into the no man's land there. Okay, so which of course suggests that we should do it here as well. Little erase. B. Okay, so now I've just created a bunch more work for myself. Wait a minute. Okay, that's interesting. Looks like I would have had to do it anyway because this was not properly shadowed. Okay. I think it would be wise to just grab this. And now I'm going to scale backwards and see if there's any spots that are screwy. Nope, looks like I've hit them pretty well. Let me see what happens if I paste it here. No. Okay, so now this is going to be important. I need to, just to be safe, let's just grab all of this and paste it in. Yeah. Okay, so now we can go in here and get this fixed up. Okay. Again, using the paintbrush tool. Some stuff, it just makes sense to just do it by hand. Just do it by hand and get her done quickly. Not actually quickly as much as accurately. The fact is that if you have a fill operation and it backfires, it takes a bit of time to fix things. So why give yourself the grief? It's easier to just go a little slower and hand paint it. Okay, and by the way, erase that. KF. Alright. Not worrying about her eyebrows at this point. Okay, although I definitely am going to worry about this. Okay, and just for the record, yeah, we can't lighten that. And that's too light. So I'm going to create a new color and call it hair tie. The problem I have right now is that the ninjas costumes are definitely black because they need to contrast with the outlines, which are actually more of a charcoal color. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to sample that and then see if I can go down from there. I'm going to call that the hair tie color. I can always change it later, but as much of a pain as it is, I'm going to go in and change her hair tie. I really don't want it to be true black. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I mean, honestly, you know, his really should probably be 2, but I'm going to leave that for the moment. I'm not going to make that careful, careful, folks. Not okay. Let's just fine. We'll just paint it in. Thank you very much. Fill. Will this work? Nope. Same problem again. So no big deal. And by leaving a little bit of the black in, it sort of gives it an outline. Okay, and fill. I think that was already done for me, actually. Okay, there we go. So that didn't take too long to fix up. And see, the cool thing about that is if I want to at any time, I could go ahead and modify the tint on that, and good to go. Okay, so now this has got to go there. And 343, you know we've used that one before, so 343. Oh, come on. Come on. As my dear departed friend Donio used to say. Come on. Alright, I guess that worked. And there must be a difference in his eyes. Yes, his eyes look over. So, alright, we gotta go ahead and paint this guy then. Boom, 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 boom. And we have a leak. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get the leather in there. Let's get the sword in there. The eyes. Eyebrows. Control Z. So it looks like the paintbrush does effectively create good borders for filling, which is a good thing. But we have a leak here, and I have no idea where it is. It looks like there it is, probably. Yep, that was it. So now, okay, this is getting complicated. So, and I'm ready for a break. So I think with that, this has been a pretty good session of, yep, I thought I saw something there that was missing or leaked out. Okay. So let's just scan this whole thing now. Just for simplicity, I took the same background and just put it under the whole thing, just so there's something behind them. I'm going to go ahead and extend this down. There's places where it obviously doesn't make any sense when the overall angle changes, but well, and there's one good thing about it too. Surprise, surprise, come to find out there's some stuff missing. So, boo-doo-doo-doo. And right there, we have a leak. There's something missing. And right there, we have an ear that failed to get painted. Oh, come on, really? Oh, I see. It's because it's leaking right there. Okay. That's cool. So we're almost done. Yep. And we're in good shape. So File, Save All, and that's it for now.